Hello and welcome to day 189 in this quest for a 2000 rapid chess rating on chess.com. All right, let's begin here, see what we can learn from my good or bad moves, and then after the game I'll be doing a review and I'll have commentary going on if you haven't watched this before. So, d4. What do we want to play against that? Well, I'm going to try something a little different. I'm going to play this d6 move and just see how it goes from there. So this is kind of like the perk defense it starts out as, and then it transposes into a Philidor defense. So they've gained space here. Now I can castle, but I do have a lack of space. So I'm going to just go ahead, develop, get my king castled. And for the beginners out there, remember you want to try and move, make one move and move one new piece each time until you get them developed, at least as much as you can. So they're heading down here maybe towards the base of the chain. One good idea is to attack in the direction of the pawns, the direction they're pointing. So that would mean bringing these pawns down the board and going for the queen side. Now, do I want a fianchetto here? That could be a possibility. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and castle first. Get that out of the way. Now I could leave my rook there because maybe I'll have to push that rook forward to f5. And this opening, I'm kind of new to this. So, this is called the lion's jaw variation, which I've actually heard of that, and I did a video on that, but it's been so long ago and I don't normally play this. So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. What now? b6. If I attack here, it'll kind of, I might as well, my bishop is not really doing much, so I might as well bring that knight up. And then, I don't know, I might have to push this pawn up to c6. If they take, I can retake. Okay. So the problem is he could jump his knight in here and target this pawn. So do I maybe need to gain space? Because if the center is locked up like this, you have to fight on the wings. What is the best way to do that? Well, I better try and grab some space over here. Prevent him from pushing even more pawns down the board. And maybe I can fianchetto this bishop or put the bishop here. But I don't know, it'll be kind of trapped in. Okay, so that's a problem. It's kind of like I'm going to end up making some unnecessary pawn moves. So we might as well just go there, prevent him from pushing his pawn forward. We could maybe develop our bishop up this way and attack his knight if it tries to come forward. But I don't know, this is a good bishop. I probably need to worry about getting rid of my other bishop. At least now we can move this knight up here. But, if he tries to go like this, and then here, all right. So, where best to place this bishop? I don't know, maybe we need to keep that bishop there. I might have to move my knight forward. like that. That opens up our bishop. Okay. Now, how do we continue here? Do we centralize the bishop? That would take squares away from the knight. I mean, okay, if I go here, it keeps the knight. Well, the knight could still go there, and I don't really want to trade a bishop for a knight unless I have to. Maybe I go here, restricting his bishop, because now the next move is going to be that. And he'll start attacking my center with a flank pawn, as I mentioned, which is usually a good plan when the center is blocked like this. All right. So, do I gain even more space here? It'll be harder to protect that pawn if I push it forward. So maybe I'll just leave it there. Need to try and develop more pieces. Where should I put this bishop at? Wow. I'm not positive. I'm kind of restricted. That's the only problem of having everything so restricted like this. Probably should just move there. Just develop another piece. Keep an eye on his, this square in case his knight jumps in there, we can capture. But then what? I guess he could go there. I'm not too worried about that because this is a bad bishop blocked in, but things could open up. So maybe I need to put my rook here and have the ability to drop that bishop back, but then he could try and go here, pinning the knight to the queen, which he may end up trying to do anyway. All right, well, a lot going on in this. So what should you be trying to do? You should look for checks, captures, and threats in that order. And when you're in the middle of a game, sometimes that's hard, especially if the clock is ticking down, to try and do that for every move. But at least they're burning some time down now too. So checks, captures, and threats. You need to develop all your pieces as quickly as possible. Try and spend one move to move each piece until you get them all developed. That's not always possible. I had to maneuver my pawns around a little bit. So, what could my opponent try and do now? Well, they need to, I guess, develop this bishop. So, that might be a plan. Develop the bishop where? Either here, here or here. It's probably what they're going to do next, is develop that bishop somewhere. Okay, so they decide not to do that. So that move is pretty smart because the knight could go, well, if it goes there, I could take. But now I can't really push this pawn up if he pushes his pawn here and threatens to, keep pushing his pawns forward over here. And I need to figure out a way to push my pawn forward. So do I have to retreat? I mean, I could go here. If I push this pawn forward, can he take that and open my king up? I think I'm going to have to try and do that. And you want to ask yourself, what did your opponent's last move do? Well, I think it kept me from pushing that pawn up, like I said, in case he tried to do that. So I'm going to just go there, try and reposition my knight, try and push this pawn forward if I can. But maybe that's too slow. Let's see. Yeah, usually it's not a good idea when you have to move backwards. But, I mean, what else can I do here? Put swing back. Try and push this forward. If he goes there. I don't know. Maybe. The problem is if he goes here, attacking that. All right. So I don't have any checks that ways to get in there after the king. You want to look for unprotected pieces? So that knight is unprotected, but I don't have any good ways to attack it. And he might be getting ready to move his bishop there and lining it up down towards my king. Okay, so there we go. This push could start opening things up. So, do I take? I might have to. That's just going to help him develop his bishop. But if I don't take, he could push forward and close off my bishop. So if I take, it leaves him with a backwards pawn. So I think I'm going to do that. All right, we'll see how it goes. His bishop retakes. Now what? We could attack his bishop, driving it back. And then what, though? I don't know. Maybe I move my queen. Well, if I move my queen, this a lot going on here, and it's kind of a messy position. So, and as I said, this is a new opening, so I'm still trying to learn all the ins and outs of this. What do I do now? Do I threaten to go here and make a battery and attack? Well, I don't want to give up my good bishop for his bad bishop, so maybe that's not best. All right. We could go after that backwards pawn, but I don't know. I kind of want to leave this rook here to defend and maybe have to fight here in the future. So my plan was to move that out of the way and then push this pawn. But I don't know. Was that the best plan? If I try and push and gain space over here, I don't know if that'll work. I mean, if he takes, I take, he can take. No, he'll probably just push his pawn and attack my knight, and then what do I do? All right, so a way to apply more pressure to that. He has two knights defending, I have two knights attacking. All right, I think I need to move my knight and try and reposition my bishop. All right, we're going that way. We're taking way too much time. So now he could just keep pushing forward and breaking things up. Well, at least this way, we have the opportunity to go there and attack his bishop. Or we could move our bishop here and line up on his knight. Let's see. Oh, I didn't even really pay attention to what this person was rated at. It looks like they're rated 1729. And I'm at 1727 at the moment. Where are they from? Mongolia. All right. Well, at least they are thinking now, what could they do? All right, so they bring this rook into play that wasn't doing much there. So now, do I need to bring my rook in? Oh, and it defends this knight. He probably saw this possibility of my bishop lining up there. All right. Well, now, do we try to attack here? If he takes our knight or our queen, probably our queen would have to develop. So we could try and trade off our bad bishop for his good bishop. So maybe that's the best way to go there. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So if we can get rid of his good bishop for our bad one that's blocked in by these pawns, although things were starting to open up, so I don't know, we'll see. Now it's pinned to his rook. So, I mean, he could drop back. If he drops back and waits for me to take, then he could retake with his queen here, and it would just help him develop. So then, if he doesn't take and drops back, I should, try and improve the position. One issue is going to be, so he has a counterattack. All right. What now? So we could get rid of both of the bishops. One thing I could try and do is trade bishops, drop my knight back to here, reposition it up to here. So that's an idea. All right, so before I go trading everything off, I need to take a quick look at what the position is going to be like after I trade off some of these pieces. And, do I have any good checks? Well, I don't see anything. And if we capture his bishop, that's going to help him develop his rook, I guess. If we capture here, it's going to help him develop his queen. So what now? Do I capture? Then jump forward. Attacking his other bishop, maybe forcing him to capture mine, and then I'll be able to develop my queen. All right. Well, let's at least knock those bishops out. Get rid of the bad bishop. Okay. Now, do we trade off the other one? I don't know. That just helps him develop too much. So maybe we attack his bishop. We have to watch out for a rook sacrifice, though, because if we go here, could open things up. If he goes there, we take. And I don't know, that looks a little dangerous. I think our queen Could jump up there and help though. So let's go after that. Now if he takes my bishop, I can recapture and it'll help develop my queen. Or should my knight drop back? No, probably the queen, because I need to get my other rook developed as well. Or wait, maybe my knight should drop back and then reposition up here onto this nice outpost. That could be a good way forward. All right. What now? So maybe he's thinking about sacrificing his rook, because if he takes, well, not right now, because my queen could just, no, yeah, my queen could just retake because the knight is protecting the bishop along with my queen. So what else does he have? Trying to get his other rook in the game. If he pushes this pawn forward, he can't do that yet, or I just take and attack his rook. But I need to get my other rook into the game. Man, I need to watch the time as well. I'm down to 5 minutes. So yeah, and I don't normally play this. I guess it was the Perk defense, Lion's Jaw variation. I did do an old video on this maybe over a year ago. So I might have to go back and review my own video because it's been a long time since I even saw this Lion's Jaw variation. Usually this opening, I saw it in the Journey to Grandmaster video. Okay, what is best here? Do I bring the queen up, capturing, or do I take with a knight? And if so, which knight? Oh, another issue is this knight could drop back to here. So if I take with the queen, that's probably what I have to do. If I take with the queen, what if he captures here? If I take, he's going to have a check on my king. So maybe I take with the other knight. I don't know. I don't know. I think I need to develop this queen, and I don't have much time to think. I'm going to end up running out of time here. Okay. So he's really piling up on everything, getting his queen into a better position. What now? Well, I need to bring this rook over into the game, but do I just go here and play defense on that pawn, or do I just add another attacker to here? So that's a possibility as well. Or do I just immediately attack here? Probably need to put that rook over here. So we'll go ahead and do that. Is he going to sacrifice? I don't know. It's looking... It's bad when you're on the defensive, and that's what could happen here. He could sacrifice the rook. If I take, his queen could take. Then what do I do? He could really break my position open then. Yeah, I think that's probably what he's going to do, and then I'm in trouble. So if he gives up the rook, and I take, his queen takes, he'll be attacking my h6 pawn. What can I do? There's not a good way to defend that. I mean, do I have time to run over here and attack his rook? He could grab that. He'd have to defend his rook. Then he can bring his rook over. Then what do I do? I need to, okay, so he goes there. That's interesting. Okay. Probably should move my knight if I can. Try and reposition it. Okay. He wants to push that pawn forward. Man. He's kind of just got me in a bind here. So, do I bring my rook up here? Maybe I do that. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Just bring the rook up. So once again, if he sacrifices, I take, his queen takes, then what can I do? I could jump up here, attack his rook. Yeah, I think I'm in trouble if he takes that rook, or that knight, but I don't know what to do about it if he sacrifices the exchange. So he takes, I take, his queen comes in, or his queen delivers a check. No, he can't, because I could block with my rook now. So rook takes, pawn takes, queen takes. He's attacking the other pawn. Well, now maybe I can jump my queen up here, try and attack. I also have this rook, but this pawn is going to be in trouble in the endgame. His knight can just jump down there and attack it. So that's not looking too good either. So this is probably what they're thinking a long time about, if they can sacrifice the exchange. So they go there, I take, their queen takes, attacking the h6 pawn. What counterplay do I have? Maybe I can reposition my knight, but if I go there, where is that knight going? And try and bring my queen up here. Wow, okay. Takes, takes, queen takes. Okay, so he decides to do that instead. That kind of surprised me. All right. All right, now, do I just push my pawn forward and gain space? And now there's a threat. So maybe I double my rooks up. But the problem is, all right, the problem is if I go here and he takes or takes here, either way my king is going to be open to a check, and that's going to be a problem. Or can this rook stop it? All right, I don't have time to think, so I got to go there. Now I have this threat of capturing. Oh, that doesn't work because his rook. Oh, yeah, actually, no, now he's protected as well. So, what now? Oh, I have this move. Yes. Attacking the queen and the rook at the same time. But does it work? All right. If I go there first, might as well do that. But his knight can attack now. His knight can go here, delivering a check. All right. Oh, man. Okay. So I have to take like that. Only a minute and 41 left. Not good, not good. Okay. What now? What now? I attack that rook. Yes, I attack the rook by going there. If the rook moves, I grab his queen. Oh, but I'm pinned by his queen as well. Looking pretty crazy here. Well, I don't know. I'm trying to hang in there, but I only have less than a minute and a half left. So that's what happens when I try. I'm trying a new opening, and I don't know all the ins and outs of it yet, especially when they push forward and gain a bunch of space like that. I was looking at, I think it's called the Journey to Grandmaster. Okay. So what now? What now? Well, oh, now he's threatening to take there. And I have to defend that. Well, it'll be defended, but where do I go? Oh man. Not looking too good here. Knight. If I move, he's going to take. So we'll just go there to help defend. So we're defending. And I don't know, it's just not looking too good. I could maybe try and improve the position of this other knight by jumping up here, threatening to attack his queen and helping defend. All right, do I move and threaten his rook now? No. Or, well, maybe. All right, let's just go that way. And I'm going to end up running out of time if I'm not careful here. Man, less than 30 seconds on the clock, so that's not looking good. What could they do? Well, they could just take, then I got to take. Then I'll have to go after the rook if they take here. Okay, so what else do they have? They could just drop back and force a queen trade, and then they'll be attacking two different pieces. So maybe I have to go bring my knight here. So I think I have to do that, bring that knight up to e5, or back to e5, I should say. All right, what could they do? Wow, okay. What is their most forcing move? Do they have any checks? Well, they could go there and check me with sacrificing the queen, but I could capture. If they bring their rook in, I can just move forward, and I think I'm okay. If they... Oh, they can just take my... Well, no. If they take my knight, I take their queen, and then I take their rook. So, wow, a lot going on in this. So they have to move that queen. But where? Or they just move the rook back, and then we have the possibility of... So yeah, at least they are really thinking about this one, because this will be the turning point of the game. If they drop back to attack both my knights with the queen, I can take the rook. Then he could pick off one of my knights. Okay, so now do I trade off the queens? That's the question. Or do I ignore that? I think I go here, attacking both of them. But now we're going to trade queens. But I have this in-between move there, and then I can grab the queen. So there we go. That definitely helped. Okay, material-wise, we stayed even, I believe. Yes. Oh, wow. Need to move my king up. The problem is he could push forward here and have a passed pawn on the queen side. But if he does that, I mean, I guess I could push mine forward. I need to reposition this awful knight. Okay. Huh. All right, I guess we're forced to go there. And he did put a stop to being able to push my pawn forward, so that's not so good. But I could push this other pawn up, maybe. You know, and threaten to go there. So, all right, he's going to try and get into the position. All right, I don't have a lot of time to think. So I need to reposition my knight. So we'll go there, and then I can push my king up, try and get my knight up into the game. And get my king forward into the game as well. So I need to get that king on g7, try and put my knight on f6, and try not to run out of time while all this is happening. So now at least they're low on time too, down to 20 seconds. All right, so we're going to push forward. Oh, wow. Okay, I definitely need to guard against that. Push my king forward. Oh, wow. If their knight jumps here, okay, my pawn is stopping it. So I can bring my knight forward and attack immediately. but probably need to bring my king up into the game. Now, do I go here, threatening the attack? All right, now they're in time trouble. Wow, this game is definitely taking a turn. Okay, so I go there, threaten to attack their king. So I'm going to do that first, driving the king back. Now, okay, well, we trade down, but I'm still good here. I think I can, let's see. I'll just move forward nice and slow here. All right, they're down to 20 something seconds. Wow, this is just going to be a matter of who has the blunder first. All right, so there, I can get rid of that pawn. And then what? If they push forward, I'll take. Okay, now I can just take with the rook, threatening that pawn. And what now? Move the king up to here. Is it going to end up being a draw? Because his rook will probably move to this half-open file. So I just drop back, and then I can move my rook over here attacking. This could end up being a draw if I just move my rook back and forth. I mean, I don't see any way for them to make headway now. Do I just go there? Oh, or should I have taken? Well, I don't know. I have to be careful if I open things up that way. I think I might have to just go for the draw here. I mean, a draw is better than losing in time. I mean, they're close on losing in time. But I don't have enough time myself, so I'm going to just go for the draw without trying to do anything too crazy. All right, so they do not want the draw. So I'll just go back. All right, so we get a draw. I'm going to look at the game review and see what I could have done better. I mean, I guess I'll take that draw because I think they had chances to win against me. Let's see what this... Oh, well, it looks like I was the first one with an advantage and I must have overlooked something. And then I guess I messed up. Like, this must have been when they could have sacrificed their rook, these high spikes here, when white could have sacrificed their rook and got some advantage until everything fizzled out into a draw. It says the game ended evenly, but you had some nice moves. All right, I played at 81.9% accuracy. My opponent played at 80.9%, so I don't know. I think my opponent could have sacrificed that rook and had an advantage. We'll find out. And underneath my image, it says that I played at 2000 rating level and my opponent played at 1950. I did have a blunder. So we'll have to see what the blunder move was. And it looks like 92.5 accuracy rating in the opening for my opponent, 92.5. I had 93.2. So I did a little better in the opening. wow, 57.9 from my opponent in the middle game, and I had 57.8. So we both botched the middle game up. But in the end game, we both played well. 96.6 for my opponent, 97.5 for me. So I'll do the quick review where it blasts through the moves, and then I'll do the computer analysis after this. So I'll try and do this review quickly where it runs through the moves. It looked like there was a mistake back there. Maybe it was just an inaccuracy. All right, here's the mistake by my opponent, moving that bishop there. And the best thing to do was to take that bishop on, or sorry, the best thing to do was, yeah, take here on f4. Okay. So now I return the favor, making a mistake. Apparently I should have immediately developed my queen and attacked his unprotected rook. And I didn't even think about that move. Huh. He would have to protect. Oh, wow. Okay, if I did that, yeah, I overlooked this. We'll look at that in the computer analysis. If I attacked his rook and he tried to protect it, then I could grab his bishop maybe. That's what it looks like. So the best move. Wow. Oh, he could have moved his queen up and guarded both. But then what's the follow-up? Huh. Okay, a lot going there. Let me go back to what happened in the game. So I make the mistake. And then another mistake. It looks like my knight should have dropped back and then repositioned it, because I think he could sacrifice here and open my king side up. So yes, he missed that opportunity. Then I messed up. Once again, I should have moved that knight, and he misses that. That was the blunder, because now he should definitely do that, and it would not be good. So we'll look at that in the computer analysis as well. Man, yeah, I had a rough game here, which is to be expected when I'm trying some opening that I'm not familiar with. All right. As I mentioned, I watched a Journey to Grandmaster video, and he talked about trying this opening out, which is like, it starts out as a perk, but becomes kind of a Philidor defense. All right. So here, I'll just finish up the rest of the moves here. A missed opportunity there. I should have dropped my... Oh, I could have afforded to do that, because if he took my knight, then I grab his queen. Wow, I didn't see that. All right, yeah, I'm the time trouble. I mean, I guess I could blame it on that. You got to blame it on something, right? So the time trouble kind of made me overlook things. And I had a viewer ask a great question, how do you get rid of blunders? Well, you play slower games. Rapid, blitz, bullet, you're all going to have blunders in those, because you're just playing fast and you don't have time to look at everything without rushing too much. All right, let's look at the computer and see what we could have done better here, what we can learn. Okay, so this is the perk defense. They play d4 or e4, you play d6, with the idea of bringing the knight up to f6, the pawn up to e5. So they normally take the center. Well, now you can attack the unprotected pawn. They protected it, and this also keeps pieces out of g4, I guess. And what now? Well, you play e5. If they capture and you capture, they could take your queen and the king would have to recapture. But, apparently you can, this is a playable endgame. What could they do? Develop a bishop attacking, but then I guess your king could move back over and protect it. You also have to make sure you play pawn up to c3 if all this happens, to keep knights and other pieces from coming forward, and the c pawn getting targeted. And then you also have to find out a good way to protect your e5 pawn. But none of that happened because they pushed forward. Now this is what I need work on. If they push forward, I'm not sure what's best. So they like h5, pushing that pawn up to h5 on the king side and gaining space. Okay, bishop to e7, which is what I did in the game. So that's a book move. Just develop your bishop and get ready to castle. So here they start grabbing space on the queen side. Now remember, if the center's locked like this, you have to play on the wings, on the flanks. And if your pawns are pointing in this direction, you generally want to push all your pawns in that direction over here on the queen side because you have more space for your pieces in behind those pawns. So I wanted to slow down his momentum, but first I just castle. Now they're saying knight at f to d7 would have been better to immediately slow down any progression of this pawn because they could push forward there immediately, I guess. And if I take, then I'm kind of breaks my pawns up, and this pawn will be something I'll have to defend. So maybe that's an option. Let's see what they recommend for the computer. Okay, knight to e2 is good, but they like knight to c3 better. Remember, if your pawns are pointing, especially the central pawns, if they're pointing towards the queen side like this, you have to start pushing the pawns and moving your pieces towards the queen side. So I guess that would make sense to bring the knight, this knight in here. So I continue with developing my knight, but now that's only a good move. Better would have been knight to h5, huh? Okay. Well, I guess knight to h5 would allow me to start targeting the king maybe, but I think he could block. And I don't know if I could sacrifice there. I don't think I could because he has enough defending it. All right, so knight to g3 is played. And what now? Knight to e8 is the best move, it looks like. But I did not play that. I grabbed some space, which is still good, but white's edge has gotten bigger now because of that move. They're saying knight to e8 would have been better. And maybe, what do I do then? I guess get out of the way of that f pawn to get ready to push it in the future. But then my other knight has to move as well. All right, or maybe the idea was, and I thought about this in the game, dropping the knight back, pushing this pawn to keep his knight from coming forward, then jumping the knight to g7, which is usually not a good idea, but in this case I could use it to help me push my f pawn forward. All right, so, but maybe that plan is too slow. And time is always of the essence in chess, or most of the time. You have to really be looking out for your time. All right, so what is best here? Once again, knight to e8 is best, or even knight to c5. Instead, I played b6, an inaccuracy. Yeah, this move was kind of slow, I guess. So they develop, which is good, but they like knight to f5 better, immediately jumping the knight forward. So I jump my knight up, which now they say is best. Repositioning my knight forward on a better square, a little outpost, and opens my bishop up here, which I should try and push this pawn, and I have to move that knight, but that never happened in the game, I don't think. We'll find out here. All right. Castling is an inaccuracy. Now the game is even after that move. Bishop to e3 would have been better. Just developing another piece, maybe threatening to take the knight and double my pawns. And I don't know if that would be so great. You give up your good bishop and your bishop pair. Pull my pawn into the center. I would have a weak isolated A pawn, but would they be able to take advantage of that? I don't know. So I develop, which is good, but better is knight to e8. So once again, I need to move that knight out of the way, and I just didn't do that in the game. All right, so b3, we're just maneuvering pawns here. I don't know, that was probably a wasted move. It looks like knight to e8 all the way. I needed to move that out of the way so I could try and push my pawn forward. So they go ahead and push their pawn. And now taking that pawn is best. So it looks like I found that move and they recapture. And now what? Knight to h7, which I thought about in the game. Did I end up doing that? Yes, I did. Okay. So now bishop to g4. They like that move better. I played this, bishop to g5, but now the game, it's about even. Bishop to f6, they like better, putting that bishop on the diagonal and attacking the knight. All right, so I think that's the first mistake of the game, bishop to g4. Apparently queen to d2 would have been better. All right, so I capture, which is the best move, apparently a great move. Oh, because they have to capture with the rook, and now I'm ahead here by almost the equivalent of 2 pawns. So I played this mistake of a move, which after that, the game is about even. You know, white probably has a slight edge. It's saying that they should take my bishop and then I should take with this bishop so they can't wreck my kingside pawns. So, and then they'd be able to bring this knight in here up towards my kingside. Instead, it says what would have been best. Let's look at that. Queen to g5. So queen to g5. And then after that move, the best thing is what? Queen to f3, because I'm attacking both of these unprotected pieces. So queen to f3 is best, guarding them both. But now, the best thing to do is take that. Queen takes. Now, why wouldn't it be good for the rook to take? Let's look at that. If the rook takes, then what do we do? Oh, we would take their other rook up here with a check. Yeah, that wouldn't be good. So the queen has to take. And then what happens next? Is material still even? Yes, material's even, but we have knight to d3 as the only move that gives us a big advantage. We get a slight advantage with some other moves. a4 and g6 give us a little advantage, but knight to d3 is best. Attacking the rook. Oh, forking both rooks. Man, yeah, I overlooked that. So that's why that would be a good continuation. But instead, what did I do? I played knight to f6 instead of queen to g5. So here they capture, which is best. And I should have definitely dropped back with that knight, and I did not do that. So why didn't I do that? Well, I was listening to the basic rules of chess where, you know, you don't want to retreat a piece unless you have to. And in this case, I guess I had to. That was the best move. And what did I end up doing? I tried to develop another piece, which generally you want to do that. But, you know, I guess that would have been a lot better move because then I could get ready to jump the knight up here to e5. So the best thing here would be what? They're saying knight to b5 is maybe best. So if they do that, they're keeping an eye on this. if I try to bring a rook over, they could harass that rook back and forth. Otherwise, my queen has to just sit there and guard that. But they're saying that's a good move, but a better move would have been this. Jumping up here, targeting this pawn and this, with maybe threats of the queen trying to go for a mate here. And the best thing for me to do would have been knight to e5 in response to that. Okay, but in the game, we had this set up here, and now that is a missed opportunity. They should have immediately broke open my king side by sacrificing the rook, as Gotham Chess likes to do. So if that would have happened, it looks like I would have been losing pretty much. And I kind of felt that in the game. I just wasn't quite sure what I should play. And against a better player, they would have seen that and looked at it immediately. So I think if I was playing an 1800 or higher player, they probably would have broke open my king side and started attacking. Here, they say the best thing is queen to e7, because if I take, well, now they have what? The queen can't check me because I'm guarding that square. So knight to h5 or queen to h5, and that's not looking too good. If they go here, they're attacking, threatening to fork. And what do I do about that? Knight takes e4 is my best move, and it's not looking good at all. I'm just losing. If the queen goes to h5, that's good, but they like knight to h5 better. Because you have this threat coming. Well, you take this and then threaten the knight coming in and a mate. But my opponent overlooked that. He develops his queen. So see, sometimes by following the basic rules that say you need to develop all your pieces, you can overlook other moves that are actually better. So you kind of have to just play chess regularly until you develop a feel for when things are good or bad, when you have to break the basic guidelines of chess. And so there I felt that they should take, but I wasn't sure what to do. So I make a blunder here. Best would have been what? Knight to h7. So move back, and then they should go what? Rook to f1, just triple up, creating what's this? The Alekhine's gun, and they're all piling up on that. So here, now rook at a to e8 would be good, and the game would have continued. Material's even, but the computer believes that white is ahead by the equivalent of over a pawn advantage. So after this blunder, once again, they should sacrifice the rook for the exchange, and then they do not want me to capture. I should play queen to e7, and I'm still losing anyway. But if I captured, well, now the best thing is once again knight to h5, it looks like, by quite a bit. So if they go there, is that still the best? Yes. Now they're threatening to fork my king and queen. Oh, wow. They're saying the best thing I can do is play rook to e5 and let my queen fall, I guess. So that's, yeah, I would have been in huge trouble if they saw that. Okay, so I play this, rook to e5. Oh, wait, we gotta go back to where the actual game continuation was. So I make the blunder. They should sacrifice the rook, but they didn't. I bring my rook up to e5. Better would have been, what, queen to d8 apparently, helping to guard my knight. Oh, yeah, that could have helped. So now, this move, rook to f1 would have been better. So what happens if they try and sacrifice the rook now? I should take. Oh, they're saying that's a brilliant move. If I take, what's the best move? Knight to f5. And then we should take back here. Queen takes, and we would just have a lot of exchanges. But the big problem could be that, targeting this. And that's not looking too good. But they're saying A4 would be, what? A4 would be better. Huh. I mean, it looks like that just leaves that open. But then, I mean, I guess he could swing down and start harassing this. Oh, if he goes there, well, no, even if I went here with my rook, his knight could jump in and help. All right, let me wrap this up before the video drags on forever here. I make a mistake. What is better? G6 would have been better, giving up this pawn. So if I played G6, they would capture the H6 pawn with check. My king would have to move up. Oh, then they could take my knight. Oh, that looks terrible. So queen lines up on my king here. Queen to G3 is a miss. So queen to G3 lining up on my king. Yeah, now they have this threat of taking the pawn with check because the queen is pinning that. They should have taken with their knight immediately. So now rook takes f5 was the best move, but I did not do that. I play another mistake here. Oh, now they're saying g6 would have been better. Wow. So that is a great move, but now we have the rook capture, which was best, and they should have captured back with their rook. And I think that's what they did, yes. So now white is ahead by the equivalent of over 1.5 pawns of material. Actually, they're ahead by, what, 2 pawns in material. All right, so the one advantage we have is this pin here. So what now? G6 was best, so I found that move, protecting my knight. And the rook can't take, or I'll get his queen with my queen. So he plays this, a mistake. Doubles the rooks up. Now, apparently I should just play knight to f6 and attack his queen. But if I do that, he plays queen to h4. Okay, so first, what should he have done? It looks like h3 was the best move, protecting my queen, which I think he did that later. And here I should play what? Knight up to d3, attacking his other rook, and then maybe I can jump my knight here and attack his queen. So instead, we had rook at e to f1. I missed an opportunity. Knight to f6 would have been better. So if I go there attacking his queen, he should play queen to h4, threatening my pawn, but then I can pick off his rook. So what if... Oh, that's his only option too. Huh. And the game would have been almost even then. All right, so in the game, I make this missed opportunity move. He finds the best move. Now, I find the best move, but white is still ahead here. Rook drops back. That is a mistake. King to h2 apparently would have been better. So the best move is found, forking these pieces. What does my opponent do? Finds the best move, capture. Here, oh, I found the best move. I think my opponent overlooked this in-between move here with a capture with check. These intermezzo or what else are they called? The in-between moves, or Zwischenzug, I believe. These are like great moves that people overlook, especially if you can make an in-between move that's a check, forcing them to deal with that, which they do. They capture, but then I can take back my queen, and the game's about even. So I gotta figure out what to do next. They play the best move again. So I retreat. Now they try to reposition their knight, and that was a bad move. So what should I have done? Apparently rook to e7, immediately attacking this pawn would have been better. So they defend. I prevent them from being able to push their pawn. I try to get my king involved in the endgame. Now I have two attackers, but they have two defenders. So this could be an issue. So if I have to move my rook, I wanted to be able to put that knight on the outpost with check. So I go ahead and do that. The best move, we exchange, also best. And they push the pawn. A3 would have been better, maybe. Try and get some counterplay over here. But I don't know. The game's pretty much drawn at this point. So I did find the best move, slowly pushing my pawns forward. And that is also the best move. I get rid of my rook pawn because they can't push forward. If they go there, I take, they take, and then my rook swings over and takes. And I go ahead a pawn. So capture, capture. And now they like king to g3 better. So what is best here? Here the game is pretty much a draw. So we just go back and forth until it's a draw. All right. Well, I mean, I'll take that draw because I was unfamiliar with the opening and I need to work on that. All right. Feel free to leave comments. I always enjoy hearing what you have to say. If you have a request for anything, let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe to support the channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching and have a super chess day.